Hello there and welcome. Settle in now. Get cozy. Let the tension in your shoulders melt down into your mattress. Take a long, slow breath in and let it go. Tonight, we're not in the present. We're drifting backward, softly, silently, into the folds of ancient time. Into a Rome that slumbers before the storm, into a day that feels ordinary, quiet, until it isn't. This isn't a story about drama. No sharp turns, no sudden betrayals. This is a gentle descent into the last quiet hours of a man named Julius Caesar. Not the legend, not the conqueror, just the man, waking to what he believes is another ordinary Roman morning. So, close your eyes if you haven't already. Picture soft light spilling across worn stone. Picture the hush of fabric, the echo of sandals in distant corridors, the scent of baking bread rising with the mist. You're not here to study. You're here to slow down, to listen, to breathe, and maybe, just maybe, to sleep. Imagine waking in ancient Rome, where dawn arrives not as a harsh light, but as a slow unveiling, a gentle brush of pale gold that slips through woven shutters, casting delicate patterns upon cool plaster walls. The air is cool and fresh, touched by the whisper of the night's fading breath. Outside, the city begins to stir, but in no rush. Even the stones, worn smooth by countless feet over centuries, seem to sigh softly as the new day unfolds. The streets of Rome, normally bustling with ceaseless energy, greet the morning with measured calm. Vendors open their stalls slowly, arranging small piles of ripe figs, olives glistening with dew, and clay jars filled with sweet wine. Their voices are low, careful not to disturb the quiet peace that clings to the air like morning mist. A donkey, tethered near a fountain, lets out a soft bray as it stretches and shifts its weight, readying itself for the day's labor. Somewhere nearby, a dog curled on a doorstep stirs lazily, blinking against the light, its tail flicking gently in contentment. The scent of baking bread rises, warm and yeasty, drifting from humble kitchens where women and slaves work with practiced hands. The smell mingles with the earthiness of stone streets still moist with dew. It is a fragrance that speaks of beginnings, the simple promise of sustenance and warmth. In quiet courtyards and behind tall walls, children rub sleep from their eyes, stretching limbs under woven blankets. A young boy with a bundle of wax tablets prepares to walk to his tutor, his steps soft but purposeful, his heart learning the rhythm of the day. Women braid hair with practiced fingers, humming lullabies carried down from their mothers. Their voices are gentle threads woven into the fabric of the morning. Men already don simple tunics and sandals, readying themselves to take up the duties that weave the great machine of Rome. The city breathes in these moments, not in the rush of urgent footsteps, but in a measured cadence set by the sun and the moon. There are no clocks here, no ringing alarms. Instead, the day unfolds as a symphony of slow, deliberate movements, each sound and scent a note, each step a part of a greater harmony. And somewhere amidst this awakening, beneath frescoed ceilings and the shade of olive trees, Julius Caesar opens his eyes. The name echoes through history like a distant bell, but in this moment, he is merely a man. His breath deepens, steady and unhurried. He knows nothing yet of the fate waiting to unravel around him. He breathes in the morning air, steady and calm, the city's slow heartbeat resonating with his own. The sun climbs a little higher, promising a day that will begin like any other, but end like none before. In the heart of Rome, within the walls of the Domus Publica on the Via Sacra, Julius Caesar begins his morning ritual. This is no grand spectacle, no hurried display of power, but a series of quiet, measured acts that root him in the familiar and the sacred. The Domus Publica is not the grandest villa in Rome. It is a space of understated dignity. Walls painted in deep reds and warm ochres tell silent stories of power, history, and whispered decisions. The light that filters through latticed windows touches marble statues, small shrines, and the carefully arranged mosaics beneath his feet. Here, in the shade of columns and beneath frescoes that depict myth and history, Caesar moves with the ease of one who knows his place and the weight it carries. His first stop is the Narration, the household shrine where the spirits of ancestors and gods are honored. With deliberate reverence, Caesar offers a pinch of incense, the fragrant smoke curling upwards in thin spirals toward the heavens. His lips murmur a prayer, soft and private, asking protection and guidance for the day ahead. A servant approaches, carrying a shallow bronze basin filled with warm water scented faintly with herbs. Caesar washes his hands and face slowly, feeling the cool liquid soothe his skin and clear his mind. The act is grounding, a simple reminder of the body within the power, the man beneath the title. Dressed in a clean tunic, Caesar then receives help donning the toga. This garment, heavy and cumbersome, requires care and skill. It drapes over the shoulder and coils around the body, a symbol as much as clothing. It marks him as a Roman citizen, a patrician, and a man of authority. Each fold is placed with intent, a silent message to the world. Breakfast is light, fresh figs, crusty bread, and a small cup of watered wine. He eats slowly, savoring the taste and the quiet moments before the day's demands. Letters lie unopened on a wooden table, waiting for his command. Names and titles will fill his thoughts soon enough, but now there is still time for calm. The atrium is open to the breeze, carrying scents of laurel and distant sea air. Caesar pauses here, his gaze drifting to the marble statues and the garden beyond, where fountains drip softly in the morning sun. His mind touches the political chessboard that is the Republic, but for this moment it rests. Unaware of the shadows gathering beyond his doorstep, unaware of whispered names and hidden blades, Julius Caesar begins his day, steady, confident, and unknowing. Them for centuries. Triumphs and tragedies, celebrations and silences. Today, the road carries the slow passage of Julius Caesar's litter, borne on the shoulders of strong men beneath the canvas canopy that shields him from the morning sun. Along the street, the city stirs with a quiet energy. Vendors sweep the thresholds of their shops, arranging herbs, fresh fruits, and fragrant spices with practiced hands. The scent of rosemary and thyme mingles with the salty breeze drifting in from the Tiber. A centurion, helmet polished to a bright gleam, adjusts his leather armor, glancing toward the Senate building with a practiced eye. Children dart between stalls, their laughter a soft thread woven into the fabric of the city. Their bare feet patter on the stones, and their voices rise in games and whispered secrets. Some glance curiously at the litter carrying Caesar, others return quickly to their play. The pace of movement is slow, almost reverent. There is an undercurrent of tension, felt but not named, a quiet awareness that something hangs in the air, like the scent of an approaching storm. Yet most passers-by go about their business, trusting the familiar rhythms of the day. The theater of Pompeii looms ahead, a vast complex of marble porticos, gardens, and chambers. Once a place of entertainment, it now serves as an alternate Senate chamber, its steps worn smooth by orators and politicians. Today, it awaits Caesar and the senators with a quiet stillness. The litter moves steadily forward, carrying its precious cargo into history's shadowed embrace. Dust swirls lazily in the soft breeze, shadows lengthen along the flagstones as the sun climbs higher. Every stone and every whisper holds a memory, and today they hold a secret. The calendar in ancient Rome is a living thing, part ritual, part astronomy, part political instrument. The Ides of March, the 15th day of the month, sits quietly within this cycle like a slow, steady drumbeat. To modern ears, the Ides of March carries a heavy weight of foreboding, but to Romans of the day it was simply the middle point of March, a date marked on stone tablets and in the careful hands of scribes. March itself is sacred to Mars, the god of war, a month of beginnings and energy when the city slowly shakes off winter's grip and turns toward renewal and growth. The Ides was once aligned with the full moon, a beacon in the sky marking time, rhythm, and the endless turning of days and seasons. On this particular morning, the crowd gathered near the theater of Pompeii is thinner than usual. There is an uneasy hush in the air, a sensation almost imperceptible but undeniable. Whispers move between the stones and the togas like a subtle current flowing just beneath the surface of everyday life. Vendors still call from their shaded stalls, their voices low and deliberate. They arrange figs and olives in neat rows, toss baskets of fresh bread to waiting children, and polish clay cups until they catch the morning light. Coins still pass quietly from palm to palm, clinking softly with promises and debts. A lone musician tunes his lyre near a fountain, his fingers plucking strings that sing a gentle melody into the air. The water trickles from the stone lions' mouths, a steady, soothing sound that blends with the murmurs of the crowd. Yet despite the bustle, time seems to hesitate here, as though the city itself is holding its breath. Guards stand at the entrances to the Senate chamber, pairs of them, their armor gleaming faintly, their eyes sharp but uncertain. Senators arrive slowly, some alone, others in small groups, their faces a mixture of calm, anxiety, and resolve. Some among them glance nervously toward the doors, others wear expressions like carved stone, immovable and unreadable. There are those whose whispers carry a sharpened edge, hinting at plans that must unfold this day and secrets cloaked in the folds of their togas. The seats inside the theater of Pompeii are arranged carefully, the agenda laid out and ready. To the casual observer, it might look like an ordinary day of governance. But beneath the surface lies a storm gathering force. Outside, the city moves forward with familiar grace. The Ides arrive quietly, softly, without ceremony or fanfare. They come as the sun reaches its midday peak, bathing the marble in a gentle light. And somewhere, carried on the breeze, there is the faint scent of laurel, a symbol of victory and honor, yes, but today it feels heavier, as if it carries a silent farewell. In ancient Rome, the divine and the mundane walk hand in hand. The gods are never far, their presence felt in the whispers of wind, the flight of birds, and the shape of clouds drifting across the sky. Omens are not mere superstition. They are signs woven into the very fabric of daily life, messages from the gods or the spirits, often subtle and sometimes terrifying. In the days leading up to the Ides of March, Rome was filled with stories of strange portents. The soothsayers and augurs, those skilled in reading the will of the gods, spoke in hushed tones of warnings they had received. A bird flew silently through the forum, its wings beating without a sound, a sign some took as ill-fated. The sacrifice of a bull showed entrails disturbed, organs out of place, a celestial language difficult to ignore. Most Romans, however, brushed these aside as routine signs or the anxieties of a restless city. But not everyone was so dismissive. Calpurnia, Caesar's wife, was deeply troubled. Her dreams were haunted by visions of her husband's statue, great and imposing, bleeding from many wounds. She implored him to stay home, to heed the gods' warnings and avoid the Senate that day. For a moment, Caesar paused. The weight of ambition pressed against caution, but the fear in Calpurnia's eyes was real and palpable. Yet power is a call too strong to resist. When a senator arrived with news that the session must proceed and that his presence was necessary, Caesar's resolve hardened. The omens faded into the background noise, and the wheels of fate began to turn. Still, some among the city's watchers looked to the sky with uneasy eyes. A faint halo encircled the sun, a ring of light that seemed to pulse with quiet warning. A sudden chill brushed through the streets, unexpected in the warming air of March. The marble lions at the fountains continued to flow with water, not blood, and the birds still sang their morning songs. Yet beneath the surface of the city, the air was thick with unseen tension. What the omens meant could not be foretold with certainty. Perhaps nothing, or perhaps everything. The Theater of Pompeii is a magnificent structure, not merely a place of entertainment, but a symbol of Roman power and grandeur. Its marble steps and soaring columns have witnessed countless performances, political debates, and declarations of ambition. Today it is transformed into the Senate chamber, a stage for decisions that will echo through history. Senators arrive one by one, their footsteps muffled on the stone floors. The room is vast, its curved walls painted with scenes of Roman gods and heroes, a fitting backdrop for the weighty deliberations to come. The air inside is thick with tension, mingling with the faint scent of oil lamps and aged parchment. Senators whisper among themselves, faces tight with anticipation or veiled concern. The usual clamor of debate is replaced by a heavy silence, as if the room itself senses the gravity of the moment. Caesar enters calmly, his toga perfectly arranged, his expression serene, yet unreadable. He moves through the chamber with the ease of a man accustomed to power, yet there is a subtle shift in the atmosphere, a tightening of nerves around him. As he takes his seat, the murmurs grow softer, the eyes of the Senate fixed upon him. Today's session will be different. The usual discourse on law and policy is overshadowed by something darker, an undercurrent of betrayal that few dare to name aloud. The senators sit poised like statues, their hands hidden beneath folds of fabric, some gripping daggers concealed in the folds of their garments. The air feels electric, charged with a mixture of fear, determination, and inevitability. Time seems to slow. The grand chamber filled with voices and history holds its breath. Within the marble walls of the Theater of Pompeii, the very air seems to carry the heavy weight of destiny. Each senator seated there feels the invisible pull of the moment, a silent tide drawing them toward a choice that will shape Rome's future and echo for centuries to come. Julius Caesar sits at the center, the pivot on which the day will turn. His gaze sweeps the room slowly, weighing faces and hidden intentions. To him, this is a gathering of colleagues, rivals, friends, and enemies, though he might not yet realize who belongs in each category. The murmurs have faded into a heavy silence. Each breath is measured. The space between words stretches. Even the flickering of the oil lamps seems slowed, as though time itself is bending to witness what is to come. Outside, the city moves in its quiet rhythm, unaware that the threads of fate are tightening within these walls. Birds sing softly beyond the windows, the scent of laurel and fresh stone mingles in the air. Within, some senators adjust their togas subtly, fingers brushing against concealed daggers. Their eyes betray a tension between loyalty to Rome and personal conviction. Many believe their actions are necessary to preserve the Republic. Others are driven by fear, envy, or ambition. Caesar listens. He senses something, a subtle shift beneath the surface of civility. Yet, he does not yet fully grasp the scale of what awaits him. The weight of destiny presses on all present, a silent force shaping their steps, words, and decision. Here, on this day, History will be written in whispers, in the flash of steel, and in the echoes of broken trust. Before entering the Senate chamber, Julius Caesar makes his final walk through the corridors of the Theater of Pompey. This passageway is steeped in history, lined with statues and frescoes that tell stories of Rome's power, glory, and the gods who watch over the city. His footsteps are slow but deliberate, echoing softly on the polished stone. Servants and guards flank him, their faces careful masks of routine professionalism, betraying no hint of the storm gathering nearby. Caesar's mind drifts briefly to the years behind him, the campaigns across Gaul, the crossing of the Rubicon, the Senate's grudging acceptance of his growing power. He remembers the alliances formed and broken, the battles won and lost, the endless balancing of loyalty and authority. The corridor is quiet, except for the steady sound of his footsteps and the faint murmur of distant voices. Outside, the sun climbs higher, casting long shadows through the colonnades. A breeze stirs the curtains at the entrances, carrying with it the scent of dust, marble, and faint traces of jasmine from nearby gardens. Caesar pauses for a moment, taking it all in, the smells, the sounds, the weight of the day. He does not yet know that this walk is his last, that the calm before the storm is but a fragile veil stretched over the approaching storm. The corridor leads him forward, step by steady step, into the chamber where fate awaits. Inside the Senate chamber, the atmosphere thickens with anticipation. The senators sit in clusters, their conversations hushed, their eyes darting toward the doors through which Caesar will enter. Some clench their fists beneath the folds of their togas. Others adjust the folds of their garments to better conceal their weapons. The tension is palpable, a gathering storm barely contained. The leaders of the conspiracy exchange furtive glances, their faces set with grim determination. They believe their actions are justified, that by ending Caesar's life they protect the Republic and restore balance to a city teetering on the edge of autocracy. Whispers ripple through the chamber like a gathering wind. The names of conspirators are murmured quietly: Brutus, Cassius, Decimus. Each name carries weight, history, and conflicting loyalties. Outside, the sun reaches its zenith, bathing the marble in brilliant light. Shadows stretch long and thin, mirroring the thinning patience and growing resolve within the chamber. Though the moment is still suspended in time, the storm gathers strength. The air crackles with silent energy, the breath before the thunderclap. The Senate, once a place of reasoned debate, is now a stage set for irrevocable action. The doors to the Senate chamber swing open slowly, admitting Julius Caesar into the space where history holds its breath. His footsteps resonate softly against the marble floor, each echo a steady heartbeat marking the moment. The light filters through high windows, casting a warm glow on the faces of the senators gathered. Caesar's eyes scan the room, calm and steady, meeting some gazes with a slight nod or quiet acknowledgement. He moves with the composed dignity of a man accustomed to command, though beneath his calm lies a subtle awareness, a flicker of something sensed but not fully understood. The murmurs subside, replaced by an almost tangible stillness. His toga, wrapped with deliberate care, sways gently as he takes his place near the center. The scent of fresh wax from the polished benches mingles with the faint musk of incense lingering from morning rituals. Around him, senators settle into their seats, eyes flickering toward him with a mixture of respect, wariness, and something more concealed. In these quiet moments, the weight of what is about to unfold hangs like a delicate thread stretched taut. Caesar's presence fills the chamber with a steady gravity. His voice, when he speaks, is measured and clear, cutting through the silence with quiet authority. This entrance marks not just the beginning of a Senate session, but the closing of a chapter, a final act in a story long in the making. As Caesar takes his seat, The session begins with the measured cadence of formal addresses and prepared speeches. The senators rise one by one, their voices calm but deliberate, the rhythm slow and steady as they present petitions, proposals, and grievances. The chamber listens, the atmosphere one of decorum and restraint. The flicker of oil lamps casts gentle shadows across the marble columns, softening the edges of faces and togas. Outside, the city continues its quiet pulse, unaware of the tension folding into the heart of the Senate. Caesar responds with the practiced ease of a seasoned orator, his words carrying the steady confidence of leadership. He listens attentively, occasionally nodding, weighing opinions with a thoughtful gaze. Yet, beneath the surface, currents swirl, old rivalries, political fears, and personal grudges. The conspirators exchange coded glances, their hands resting lightly on the folds of their garments, fingers brushing the hilts of concealed daggers. The Senate's dialogue flows slowly, like a river meandering through familiar terrain, but the undercurrent grows stronger with each passing moment. The chamber, though outwardly calm, vibrates with unspoken intentions. The session moves forward, marked by the soft rustle of parchment and the careful articulation of words meant to shape the future or end. Suddenly, the calm is broken by a swift, almost imperceptible movement. The first strike lands, a brief flash of steel, a muffled gasp caught between shock and disbelief. The scene shifts from the steady rhythm of debate to a moment suspended in time. Senators rise, some frozen in place, others reacting with measured precision. The air thickens with tension, the soft murmur of conversation replaced by urgent whispers and hurried motions. Caesar's expression flickers, a mix of surprise, pain, and resignation. The blows come quickly, methodically, each one a heavy toll on the man who once commanded legions. Yet even in this storm, the violence is veiled. The chamber is not a battlefield, but a stage of whispered treachery. The sounds are muted. The vivid details are softened by the weight of history's distance. As the attackers press forward, their faces etched with determination rather than fury, the consequences unfold, not in gory spectacle, but in the shattering of trust, the breaking of bonds, and the collapse of a moment that once held promise. The scene is grim, yet handled with quiet respect for the gravity of human life and the somber reality of fate. The sudden chaos slowly settles into a heavy silence. The marble floor, once smooth beneath Caesar's steady steps, now feels like a witness to profound stillness. Senators stand frozen, the weight of what has occurred settling on their shoulders like a thick fog. Some faces are pale, others tightly controlled. There is no triumphant shouting, no immediate rush, only the soft shuffling of feet and whispered breaths. The chamber, a place of order and tradition, is now steeped in the gravity of loss. The scent of incense, which earlier lent a faint sweetness to the air, now seems distant, almost melancholic. Dust motes drift lazily in the shafts of light, as if time itself has slowed to mark this turning point. The conspirators, their faces marked by resolve and perhaps a trace of regret, begin to step back, retreating into the folds of the Senate's solemn architecture. The murmurs among the senators grow, some expressing shock, others grim acceptance. It is a moment of fragile uncertainty where the past and future hold their breath. Outside, Rome continues unaware, its streets humming with ordinary life. But inside, the echoes of that final act linger, a silent shadow over the marble halls and the lives they govern. With Caesar's life ended, the city of Rome begins to awaken to the profound shift beneath its familiar rhythms. The news spreads slowly at first, like a ripple through still water, reaching the ears of citizens and slaves, merchants and soldiers. Imagine the whispered conversations in market stalls, the cautious glances exchanged in taverns, the hushed tones behind closed doors. The scent of bread baking and the low murmur of the Tiber River continue as the backdrop to a world now subtly altered. The power vacuum left behind sparks uncertainty and speculation. Some mourn the loss of a leader who promised stability, others fear the chaos that might follow. Senators debate quietly, factions realign, and the city's pulse quickens with a fragile anxiety. In this atmosphere, the legend of Caesar begins to grow, not just as a man, but as a symbol. His name carries both reverence and warning, a reminder of ambition, loyalty, betrayal, and the ever-turning wheel of history. Yet, amid this stirring of change, Rome's daily life presses on. Children play near fountains, artisans craft their wares, and the distant clang of the blacksmith's hammer rings out. The city breathes, alive and waiting. In a quieter corner of Rome, away from the marble and togas, Calpurnia, Caesar's wife, waits. Her home, a modest but well-appointed space, is filled with the soft glow of oil lamps and a subtle fragrance of herbs, lavender, rosemary, and myrtle, intended to soothe the restless. Her hands, folded in her lap, tremble slightly as she listens for any news. The weight of premonitions, dreams, and whispered fears presses gently upon her heart. She had begged Caesar not to leave the safety of their home, her voice a quiet plea against the unfolding tide of fate. Outside her windows, the night deepens. The air cools, carrying the distant sounds of the city's slower rhythms. The soft rustle of leaves, the murmur of the Tiber, the occasional cry of a night bird. Calpurnia's vigil is a moment of human tenderness amid the vast sweep of history. She embodies the personal cost behind great events, the waiting, the worry, the hope that lingers even as shadows gather. In this stillness, one feels the delicate threads that connect past and present, public and private, power and vulnerability. As dawn breaks over Rome in the days after the Ides, the Forum slowly awakens once more. Though the city's heart has been shaken, life finds a steady pulse beneath the weight of recent events. The great open space where merchants have long traded goods and ideas carries on with its quiet resilience. Imagine the sun casting gentle light across the worn stones, each one etched with centuries of footsteps, debates, and proclamations. The scent of dust mingles with the faint aroma of freshly cut herbs sold by the vendors who set up their stalls at the edge of the square. Nearby, a group of children chase one another with carefree laughter, their play a soft contrast to the heavy thoughts of the adults around them. Artisans arrange their crafts with practiced care, ceramic pots, delicate jewelry, and woven fabrics, colorful and inviting. Amid this everyday scene, senators pass through with measured steps, faces thoughtful and solemn. The weight of their roles presses upon them, yet they too must breathe in the simple rhythms of the city. Rome, in its enduring spirit, carries on, an ancient world turning slowly toward whatever future awaits. The Senate, once the bustling hub of political life, now finds itself at a crossroads. The chamber's marble columns stand tall and silent, witnesses to centuries of speeches, alliances, and decisions. In the wake of Caesar's death, their role becomes both more crucial and more uncertain. Picture senators gathering in small clusters within the ornate hall, their togas draped with the careful precision that signifies their rank and station. They speak in hushed tones, voices low but laden with meaning, weighing the delicate balance between order and change. The Senate is more than a political body. It is the living memory of Rome's ideals and struggles. It holds the responsibility to guide the Republic through turbulent waters, yet within its walls lurk both hope and hesitation. Outside, the sounds of the city intrude, footsteps, distant bells, the murmur of the crowd. Inside, senators deliberate the future, aware that the choices they make will echo through the ages. The Senate's chambers hold the tension of possibility, a place where history is both preserved and forged anew. Beyond the marble and political intrigue lies the daily world of Rome's citizens, farmers, merchants, slaves, and craftsmen, each woven into the city's fabric with their own rhythms and struggles. Imagine a bustling bakery where warm loaves rise gently in the oven, their scent a comforting promise in the morning air. A cobbler taps patiently on leather shoes, his hands steady and worn from years of labor. Nearby, a fisherman mends nets by the river's edge, his movements slow but sure. Life is not easy, yet it is rich with small moments, shared meals, quiet prayers to household gods, the laughter of children playing beneath the shadow of great temples. The air is thick with a mingling sense of fresh bread, damp earth, and blooming flowers. In the markets, the calls of vendors blend with the footsteps of buyers, bartering for olives, cheese, and wine. Each transaction is the thread in the city's endless tapestry. Though history often remembers the grand and the powerful, it is in these gentle details, the warmth of a hearth, the softness of warm cloth, that the true spirit of Rome breathes. In the quiet aftermath of Caesar's final day, it is important to consider the longer shadow cast by his life and actions. Julius Caesar was not only a figure of power and tragedy, but also a man who reshamed Rome's very structure in subtle yet profound ways. Imagine the city's streets widened and straightened under his direction, designed to ease the flow of commerce and the movement of people. Picture the grain ships that arrived in the harbor, ensuring the city's bread supply remained steady for its millions of inhabitants. These were practical acts, often overshadowed by politics, but essential to everyday survival. Caesar's reforms touched the calendar itself, introducing the Julian calendar, which brought a new order to the passage of days and months. This act alone reached far beyond Rome's borders, influencing the way humans measured time for centuries to come. Behind every reform lay a careful vision of stability, of a Rome that could endure, that could feed its people, and that could hold together under the pressures of expansion and internal strife. His legacy is not simply in conquest or death, but in the slow and steady weaving of a city's future. As night deepens over Rome, the city's heartbeat slows. The streets grow quiet, shadows stretch long, and the great marble statues seem softened by moonlight. In these moments, the grandeur and tragedy of the day give way to peaceful stillness. Imagine yourself resting now, your own breath steady and slow, as if walking alongside the city itself. The distant sound of a gentle breeze through olive branches, the soft murmur of water in a nearby fountain. The world, both ancient and now, holding space for rest. History's grand events often seem distant, dramatic, and overwhelming, but they are, at their core, made up of moments like these, soft, simple, and human. The last hours of Julius Caesar are not just a story of an empire's turning point, but a quiet reminder of life's fragile beauty. As you drift towards sleep, carry with you the image of Rome in the gentle night and the steady pulse of time that moves forward, always forward, toward a new dawn. Good night, dear listener.